Guten Tag. Right, looking at area of shaded regions now. This is very much about visualizing what have you got. We can see from the question it says find the area of the shaded region. So we've got a circle. So we definitely know we're going to have to work out the area of a circle. Okay, the other shape I've got is a square, and I know it's a square because it's telling me that my diameter of the circle is 3.4, but that's then also the same as if it was vertical, because that shape, that circle has to have the same diameter all the way around for it to be a circle. So I've also then got the area of a square as well. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is kind of thinking back to the last couple of lessons we've done on here. So we've got area of a circle is equal to pi multiplied by the radius squared. So for me, my radius then needs to be half of that 3.4. So I've got 3.4 divided by 2. I'm going to do it on my calculator just to make sure there's no mistakes. So that gives me then, I need to do pi multiplied by 1.7 squared. Okay, and again, 1.7 squared on the calculator multiplied by pi gives me, what have we got here? So 9, I'm going to do it to 2dp, 9.08 to 2dp. Okay, it does go on a bit further. I'm now going to do the area of my square. So now I've got the area of a square, which would be length times width. So 3.4 multiplied by 3.4 or 3.4 squared. And I've then got 11.56. Okay, so because I now want a shaded region, I only want these corner pieces. So I'm going to take my area of the square and then I'm going to cut out the area of the circle. So my final calculation is going to be then the area of the square and then take out the area of that circle, and then that will then leave me then with what is left. So I've got 11.56 subtract 9.08 equals, so my area of that shaded region then is 2.48, and then look over centimeters squared. Okay, right. I'm going to go through the top line of that sheet in the Easter booklet. So let's see if I can delete all of this in one go. Winner. Right. So let's drag in the second question. Loading, 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 and we're there. Right. So on the second question, again, same process as before. I've got a square, but the reason in this time is because I've got a quarter of a circle, I'm now talking about my radius and then another radius. So two radius or radii added together gives me a diameter. So again, I know I've got a square here. So the first thing I'm going to work out then is the area of that square. And again, I've got length times width. So 7.8, not 7.8 equals, what are you working? There we are, pen stopped working. Equals 60.84. So that's the area of the square. Now what I've got is quarter circles, but at the same point, all of these are the same. So if each one of these is worth a quarter, 4 of these would then be equal to one whole circle. So actually all I now need to do is, rather than having to quarter it to then multiply it up by 4 again, I'm just going to find the area of one circle. Again, pi multiplied by the radius squared. I've got a diameter there. So I'm going to do my 7.8 divided by 2 to get my radius. That gives me 3.9. So I've got, pen stopped working again. Pi multiplied by 3.9 squared. So square my answer, multiplied by pi, gives me, I'm going to do it to 2dp again. I've got 47.78. And the process again is I want to take that circle out to find what's left. So area of the square, subtract the area of that circle, gives me then that shaded region. So I've got 60.84, subtract 47.78, gives me an answer of 13.06 centimeters squared for that region. Okay, next one. Right, let's try and copy it all out again. Delete. Right, A3. Oh, too many. Okay, so for these next two then, for A3 and A4, we've got slightly different shapes to begin with, in the sense of we've still got circles, but we also now have a different shape, which by visually we can see is a rectangle. Okay. First thing I'm going to need to know is what would a diameter be for one of these circles? So if I know I've got two triangles that are two circles that are joining, circumference to circumference, which are also then length of the rectangle, I know that actually if I cut this in half, that would then tell me what each of the diameters are worth. So the first thing I'm going to do with this is I'm going to cut it in half to find out what the diameter of each circle is. Okay, so first things first is 12.6 divided by 2 equals 6.3. Okay, so that is equal to my diameter. But because we're still dealing with the area based off of what the question says, I'm now going to need a radius. So I'm going to half it again. So I'm going to do then 6.3 divided by 2 equals my, what have I got? I'm just going to do it on my calculator to avoid any mistakes. 3.15. Okay, and that's now my radius. I'm going to use that now. So I've got pi multiplied by 3.15 squared. Okay, and this is that area of the circle. That quality handwriting. So 3.1 squared multiplied by pi is equal to, I'm going to do it to 2dp again, 31.17. Okay, so that's what one circle's worth. I'm now going to double it because I've got two of them. Okay, so I'm going to write them in here as well. 3.17, 311. That's not a 117. Okay. Double that, and that gives me 62.34 centimeters squared. Okay, I've now got my area of the two circles. I now need to find out the area of that rectangle. Okay, and then I'm going to do the same process as A1 and A2. I'm going to do some subtraction to finish it off. But now I'm going to have to come back to this very starting point that I started with. So if I know that all the way across is 12.6, I know that each circle has a diameter of 6.3. So again, on a circle, your diameter horizontally is exactly the same vertically. And because these circles go as a diameter all the way across from one edge of the rectangle to the other edge as a width, I now know that that is 6.3 is my width. So my area then for the rectangle, I'll spell today, I'm going to draw it, is 12.6 multiplied by 6.3. And that gives me an area of 79.38 centimeters squared. And now we can then do the subtraction of the rectangle, subtract both circles, and then that's going to give us that area of those shaded regions there. Gives me a final answer of 17.04 centimeters squared. Okay. Last one then. Let's work this all out. And then last one in. Right, so look. Okay, so last one then. From first glance, again, we look like we've got a rectangle and we've got half a circle. So again, I'm going to deal with that circle first of all. So area of a circle is equal to pi multiplied by the radius squared. I know again that all the way across is a diameter. I only want to know half the way. So I'm going to do 7.2 divided by 2 to give me my radius of 3.6. It's going off here. I'm turning my pen off. 3.6. So I've got now pi multiplied by 3.6 squared. Gives me an answer of 40.715 and so on. What I'm going to do is leave the value on my computer screen and then straight away divide it by 2 to give me the area of the semicircle. So I've taken my answer, divided by 2, so that then gives me 20 point, I'm going to do it to 2dp again, 36. Okay, and that's then the area of this semicircle. I'll label it. Okay. What I now need to know is how to work out the area of the rectangle. And this, again, goes back to that first step that we did when we found the radius this time. So with the radius, what we've got is a diameter that goes all the way across and the radius that is only halfway. So effectively what we've got is a radius going from this point at the central point to the edge of the circle here, which is then exactly the same on the corners. So what we now know is that 7.2 multiplied by 3.6 would then give us the area of that rectangle. So 7.2 multiplied by 3.6 gives me an area of 25.92. Okay. What I'm going to do is exactly the same thing as I've done with all of the other ones. So now I've got my rectangle, subtract my semicircle, and then that tells me then that shaded region. And I've got a final answer of 5.56 centimeters squared. Okay, So same process as you're going through with these other questions. Look at what you've got. Okay, there are some different challenges in there. So have a look at what you've got, and then just have a go. Right, thank you for your time. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.